Am I muted? No, I'm not muted. Let's call the Marais Planning Commission meeting to order, November 10th, 2020. Let the record members McHugh, Gary, and Hawkins are present. Commissioner Greenwood is absent. Oh, Commissioner Kennedy is present too, kind of. Two items on the agenda. Is there anything else anybody else wants to add the agenda? Not hearing anything, we'll just move on then. So the first item on the agenda is a request for a variance, and let me see if I can pull it up here. Maria and Matt Conlon requesting a variance from the minimum front yard setback requirement to construct a roof shelter over an existing deck 8 feet from the front lot line on a lot in the R1 permanent residence zone district. This variance would allow the 8-foot setback rather than the required 25-foot setback. The shelter is a grant-supported project to enhance an existing daycare. This is on the corner of First Avenue West and County Road 7, right across the street from Bethlehem Lutheran Church and the school. We have plans, drawings. Has there been any comment received?
We did get a couple of neighbors calling in to express their support.
Okay.
Did one of those neighbors happen to be the one that directly to the south?
I'm not sure.
To the south. Oh, I know she did.
Did she?
Is that Trina?
I'm not sure who's directly to the south. I think we got both directly to the south and directly to the east calling in.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and those would be the two most directly impacted properties, obviously. The church across the street and the school on the other side of County Road 7. So, Mike, is there anything that you want to present in addition to the information that we have? Is there anything additional or new?
There's nothing else to look at. I think just to point out that there's a draft resolution in your packet. Yep. Because the city council meets tonight at 6:30. So normally we take the findings that you create in your meeting and write a resolution and give it to the council, but we don't have time for that. That's one of the reasons why this meeting was scheduled for today, because of the time constraints in their grant. They need to be done before the next time the council would have a chance to look at it. So if you want to adopt the findings that are in that resolution, you can. If you want to modify them in any way, you can do that too.
Well, I'm not sure. Since we're having a public hearing, how do we do this, Mike? We only received written comments, obviously. So, Maria, do you have anything that you want to offer or make any statements or anything?
Yeah, sure. So the shelter will create a safer environment outside for longer hours to be able to continue with doing outside drop-off pickups, to promote the COVID, not letting parents into our daycare area. We have spoke with all of our neighbors. They are in support of it. The neighbors on both sides of us and the church, plus one farther down that we weren't sure if they were in the bubble that needed to be contacted, but we stepped over and chatted with them. It's not going to block anybody's view. It's all inside of our fenced-in daycare playground area. We're not going outside of that fenced-in area that we've already established. It's just going over our deck to give us that extra support on when it's raining or snowing so we can still get outside.
Sorry, I muted you, Tim. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Okay, thanks, Maria. Appreciate that, those comments. Commissioners, this is our opportunity to discuss the request and make decisions. As Mike said, there is a resolution in the packet, and even handily, the resolution came with findings that were already made for us. So, I mean, it's really relieved us of our job, I guess. But any of the commissioners have comments? Any thing to say?
Yeah, Maria, I just have one question. Just so I understand, it is only on the deck side that you already have out there, right? So you're just going to have the roof coming out over the deck that's already established. There's no new deck. There's no anything on any other side. It's just the one side, correct?
Correct. It's just the one side going over the deck. It's staying within the fenced-in play yard area.
Great. Cool.
It's following the existing house out. It's just an extension of the roof.
Stacy, you had your hand up?
Well, I had the same question, but Mike already got to it. So thank you, Mike.
Seems straightforward to me. No questions nor concerns.
Yeah, I would agree. It's pretty straightforward. It seems to have minimal impact. The house already creates the setback. There's already a fence along the sidewalk, so really obstructing views or creating any impacts on neighbors is really pretty insignificant, I think. Do we have anybody willing to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve it. To approve the variance.
I'll second.
A motion by Hawkins, second by Gary. And it's actually approving the resolution that is in our packet. Actually, we don't have to do a resolution, Mike, do we? No, the resolution is for the council. That's what we will act on tonight. So with the findings that are contained in the resolution, actually that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote here. Commissioner McHugh.
Aye.
Commissioner Hawkins.
Aye.
Commissioner Gary.
Aye.
And Commissioner Kennedy, myself, aye. Motion passes. So, Maria, you're aware then tonight it's going to the city council, and the city council will have final decision making on this.
Okay.
So 6:30 tonight is the council meeting.
Okay. Is that something that I would have to speak at, or you guys just present it and they?
Typically not. The planning commission's recommendation is presented to the council. The resolution you probably have already seen, or maybe haven't seen it yet, but the resolution basically states that we're recommending approval of the variance with the setback that you asked for.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for coming, Maria. Thank
you. Have a good night.
Yep. Okay, let's on to the next item of business, which is the purpose amendment to the zoning ordinance to amend the purpose statement of the business development area zone district. And we had talked about this as a result of the change we had made to the ordinance about allowing services as a use within the business development area. But at the council meeting, when we talked about this, there was questions raised about the purpose statement didn't seem to fit with how the EDA or others might be looking at the business park. And so it was requested that the EDA come back with a revised purpose statement to kind of clarify what the intent of the business development area is. And of course, we have that purpose statement in front of us now. I saw that Marais had just sent a letter of support from the EDA from their board meeting. Was that yesterday? Last week? I don't remember when the meeting was, but the EDA.
I think their meeting's going on right now, actually.
Oh, maybe it came out of the meeting. I didn't read it that close, but open it up to any commissioner questions, comments. I guess we don't have any questions. So we have the language in front of us. I think we do.
Tim, what was the original hang-up? Why the revision?
Because the language that was in the ordinance, that was the purpose statement of the Business Development Area Zone District, related back to the original development of the business park. Since that time, a number of things have changed. First of all, the allowance of residential uses, artist studios or business housing for an occupant of a business, which is a big change from the district. Also, the types of businesses that have been going into the business park seem to be more related to types of services, even though they might not be called services, but aren't the types of businesses that were originally anticipated. And was, I think, originally anticipated that there were going to be much more heavy construction and those types of activities being run out of the business park. And that just hasn't been the case in the 20 years or whatever of its existence. So with the thought that we're now looking at it, that already the council agreed to amend the ordinance to allow services as a permitted use. Nowhere in the purpose statement does it talk about services. So I think it was a directive of the council that the EDA come back with a revised purpose statement to reflect more of what is currently existing in the park and what the EDA is proposing and working with now.
Thank you.
And I can read that I think you've all read it though. I don't think I would need to read it unless we need to do that just for the record. Don't need to do it, Mike? Okay, then I won't read it. So if there's no questions, is there a motion? Oh, Stacy, go ahead.
I do have a question now. I'm in support of the change. I'm wondering if we also are talking about maybe changing the sizes of these lots. Does that go along with this change in vision? Do we need to be looking at what the setbacks and sizes of these lots are?
Yeah, that's never been brought up by the EDA. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know that the Planning Commission would drive that kind of a conversation. I think there'd have to be some outside party that would be, asking that, unless we felt that there was some need or something that's changed that would warrant. But at this point, I don't know. We're not in that position where we would know that. I think the EDA would be best to address that, something like that, if it was something that was necessary.
I wouldn't expect it either. The lots that are out there now are larger than what the zoning ordinance would require as a minimum lot size. So the EDA could potentially divide them into smaller pieces if they wanted to. But the utilities that were constructed were designed around the lots as they exist now. So the service lines that are in the ground, there's only enough for the lots as they exist now. You were going to go out and try to cut them into smaller pieces. You'd have to do some work into the street to add additional utility services. And then just one piece of the purpose statement is that the last phrase of it that talks about separated from established residential and commercial areas, there is some thought behind that in the origination of the plat. There was actually an area on the east side that was reserved as a buffer from the residential uses over there. And then the EDA zone covenants and restrictions talk about the need for vegetative buffer between the lots as well. So I think the fact that they're a little bit larger than other lots in town is being used by the EDA for just creating a buffer between the uses as well. So I wouldn't expect them to come and ask us for them to be smaller than they are now. I assume that's the direction you were thinking about.
Does that answer your question, Stacy? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Anybody else?
I'll just mention, Tim, that we did send the notice out. Of course, this is also a public hearing, and 2 of the property owners did contact us with just, hey, what's going on? And once they read the ordinance, we didn't receive any public comments from them.
Good. Thank you for that, Mike. Anybody willing to make a motion?
I'll make the motion that we accept this new language proposal. Resolution, excuse me.
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion by McHugh, second by Gary to approve the revisions to the purpose statement amendment to the business development area zone district. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, I will take the roll call. Commissioner McHugh,
Aye.
Commissioner Hawkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Gary,
Aye.
and Commissioner Kennedy, myself, aye. Motion passes. So this again will be on the council agenda tonight, and that's, I think, about the quickest turnaround we've ever had from a planning commission to a council meeting, all of 2 hours. So good. We actually have nothing else on the agenda, but I did want to just kind of give the commissioners an update as to where things are at with the zoning ordinance amendments regarding the housing issues. And the planning commission recommended the ordinance as it was written to the council. The council received that, and at the council meeting, when the council received it, the council received a number of calls and communications regarding the ordinance. And so the council decided to have a couple workshop meetings. And we've had 2 workshop meetings, probably 3-4 hours worth of discussion regarding the ordinance. Mike has gone through the ordinance pretty much line by line. Commissioners or councilors have had an opportunity to ask questions. I think it's been a good, productive chance for the councilors to gain more insight into why the planning commission made the recommendations it did. And tonight at the council meeting, the council will be considering any motions to make any amendments. And I did talk to Mike earlier in the week, and am going to introduce a motion to ask that the apartment buildings, the row houses, and the cottage courtyard developments be a conditional use in the R1, the resort commercial neighborhood district, and the mixed use district. I think it's an opportunity for the councilors to to have some discussion on that and make a decision as to whether or not that's the appropriate course of action. I know other counselors have received communication from individuals that have thought that issue needs to be further addressed and not just be allowed as a permitted use. The other item I was going to include with that was the removal of the manufactured home park from the resort commercial neighborhood district, which is that zone district that runs along the old Gunflint Trail, roughly from above Highway 61 up to 5th Street. And my thought is that, you have a pretty established neighborhood there with small lots, and, the thought that a manufactured home park could be put in that district seems like it would be challenging at best and probably very unlikely. But I think by taking it out of the ordinance and not allowing it at all in that district, I think it relieves some concern that somebody could buy up a couple houses or a large parcel or whatever in that district and create something entirely different from what's already existing in that district. So that's kind of where things are at with the ordinance.
I'd like to ask you about these two things. Can you go back and let's start with the last one you talked about? Where is this section? And I'm concerned about, the use of manufactured homes. We always have a bad vibe about like trailers, but I'm not quite sure what the quality or what a manufactured home means. So what section are we talking about, and why are you proposing to make this change?
Okay, the section we're talking about is the Resort Commercial Neighborhood Zone District. And that's the zone district that runs along the old Gunflint Trail that roughly encompasses some of the old lodging properties, the residential uses where the laundromat is, and courthouse, that area right up from Highway 61 to County Road 7. So a very narrow, confined zone district it's never likely to be incorporated into any other portion of the city. Other zone districts seem to fit better if something needed to be changed. That district was created very specifically for that zone district, that particular area or location, and the types of uses that already exist in there.
And you're proposing that we don't allow manufactured homes to go there. Is that what you're saying?
Not manufactured homes, that we don't allow a manufactured home park. So a manufactured home park is something that takes a larger parcel of land that would involve multiple manufactured homes being placed in the confines of a single property.
Is there any property there that would ever even be used? I mean, is there a piece of property along this corridor you're talking about that's large enough for this even in the first place?
Well, maybe if the courthouse burned down, that they could put it in there. But really, there isn't. I don't see that there's a lot of. I mean, mostly the properties along the old Gunflint Trail are pretty small parcels. I mean, you'd certainly have the MacArthur House bed and breakfast and those cabins. All those cabins, constitute the resort. That would be significant enough size parcel, but yeah.
So what you're proposing, let's say the property owners of the McCarthy bed and breakfast, they tore all the cabins down and they wanted to put up some manufactured houses there to increase or whatever. You're proposing that you would not allow them to do that.
Well, it's the ordinance doesn't prohibit manufactured homes in a district because manufactured homes are allowed as single family home duplexes, but What I'm talking about is a manufactured home park, which we don't have any in the city. You know, so you'd have to go to another community to give an example of a manufactured home park. But that's typically where you take a tract of land and you create lots that are rented out to individuals so that they can place their manufactured home on that parcel, and it's a development of multiple manufactured homes in a larger setting.
And I know that, I mean, like, this kind of comes back to conversations where we have, like, like trailer parks, and do we want trailer parks? And they get kind of a bad stigma, but in this particular circumstance, if manufactured homes can be very attractive, can be very beautiful. If McCarthy Bed Breakfast tore everything down and they put small lots in there and with nice rentable manufactured homes, that would meet our goal of trying to increase housing density. Like, I don't know why you would try to, I mean, the likelihood of it ever happening is not there. I'm not sure why you would try to make a motion to get rid of a possibility.
Well, because my feeling is I don't think it's appropriate in that particular corridor.
So then this comes back to kind of the last time we were talking, like, I mean, and again, this is probably for my education. Like, we sit in these meetings, we make recommendations, and then our last meeting, you were talking about the other issue too about that I want to talk about, and you left the meeting. You said, "Well, I'm going to go to the council. I want to make these recommendations anyway." It's like, so we, as a group, we make recommendations to pass on. And then it's like you're not taking that, you're just expressing your own opinion. So does that mean that we're just like I guess that's it, we're just advisory on the side? Is that our job?
Well, I mean, yes, the planning commission is a recommending body. It doesn't have the authority to make a final decision. So, knowing that, I mean, I think we all owe it to the job we do to do our due diligence and to make the best recommendations we can. We may agree, we may not agree, but ultimately it comes down to the council having to make the final decision. And I mean, I was pretty clear about it, that I felt that these uses should be a conditional use because of the potential impact that they may have in to neighborhoods and others. And I'm not against them. I can tell you that I'm not against them, but I believe there needs to be a process to involve the public in these types of larger scale developments. Some places they might be completely appropriate. Other places they might be completely inappropriate. And I think that we need to have somebody that can help draw that line. Now, that's not to say that the council is going to go along with this. I mean, I'm making a motion to this effect, and I don't know what the other council members may think about that. And it could go the same way it did in the planning commission, and that the rest of the planning commission felt that this was acceptable. And in which case, I mean, I recommended that it be forwarded on to the council because I felt that we had done the job that we were asked at the planning commission. That was to try to remove the barriers and hold additional period of time for gathering more public comments and trying to address the comments that we had received after the initial ordinance was presented to the council. So I think we did our job. I think we did it with good faith, and I think the council now has to do their job, and that's where we're at.
So, Tim, is the language that you're trying to eliminate, does it say mobile home park? Is that the exact language?
I believe it says manufactured home park. There is no such thing as a mobile home anymore. I mean, I think that language has been struck from our ordinance, and And manufactured home is a definition that the state gives a particular type of, housing development, and has to meet certain standards and criteria to get their approval as a manufactured home.
I guess I'm asking because I'm not sure that we really mean not to have manufactured home parks. I mean, what is in that definition that is not what we want? If we're looking at, for instance, like Mike was just saying, I mean, the MacArthur House went away, they put in a bunch of manufactured homes. How is that not what we've been asking for?
Well, I think just like the mixed use district, we didn't have manufactured home parks as a use that was allowed within that mixed use district. And I think the reason we didn't have that in there was because of the type of area the mixed use district is. It's a fairly compact district that you see this transition from commercial to residential, and it's mixed in uses, which is really very similar to what the resort commercial neighborhood district is. It's very specific to a particular corridor. It's a number of already fixed uses. I mean, nowhere would we create a district that allows homes and laundromats and hotels and lodging establishments, that is similar to the resort commercial neighborhood district, but to support manufactured home parks, the R1 district does allow manufactured home parks, which is the majority of the residential area of the city. They allow them as a conditional use, which I think is wise because they are the type that, because of the types of potential that a manufactured home park could take on. You don't know whether it's a 6-unit mobile manufactured home park, or is it a 20-unit manufactured home park, which dictate how it might impact a particular neighborhood. You could go and put a manufactured home park in an area that right now might not be sewered, but potentially could have an extension of a sewer line that could serve a large number of manufactured homes. And it might be completely appropriate, but to take and put a manufactured home park in the midst of, I just don't quite understand how it fits into a developed residential area, because they're not like anything else, and so my view is that and I think that's why we allowed them as conditional use in the R1 zone district. I just think that the resort commercial neighborhood district is specific to a particular corridor. I just don't see how you would fit a manufactured home park in that neighborhood without having significant impacts on neighboring uses.
Of course, I live in that zone, and I really don't care whether you allow them or not. And, I think there's actually probably multiple lots where, given the rules that we've established in the ordinance draft, that you could place one. There's enough room for one. You think about the best example is the courthouse's across the street parking lot, which is completely undeveloped, except it's very flat, and might be the perfect location for a manufactured home park. I think the chances of someone building one are really small. So whether you allow them or not, it's not going to make a difference. But I really don't like the stigma part that seems to be attached to them. That creeps into other parts of this conversation about housing too. And frankly, I hope that somebody does something that has a big impact on surrounding properties, because we need a couple of big impacts on the community to add some more housing here. And I'm more than willing to have that impact be in my neighborhood if it needs to be in the RCN.
It makes sense to develop a residence near where they can do their laundry. And the old Gunflint Trail is not, you know, it's not there's the new Gunflint Trail. There's a lot of other developments. So I don't know. Our goal is to help increase housing. Our goal is to do it to fit the style and the quality. Our goal is to we have to work with the density. Yeah, I just don't understand the idea of limiting possibility.
Well, and I think is the discussion that we'll be having at the council meeting tonight. You know, so I can't say how it's going to go. All I'm saying is that I'm going to be introducing that motion, and I just wanted you as planning commission members to be aware of that. So you just didn't come around the backside that I wasn't keeping you in the loop. I'm not trying to avoid my responsibility as a planning commission member either. I'm trying to look at this in a way that I think addresses concerns that have been raised, but also addresses the need for housing and the ability to create additional housing in the community. So
do you differentiate in those conversations that this is your idea, not representative by this council? Do you communicate that as a council we're not making that recommendation that you are making?
Yes, I think Mike, and you can explain. I mean, I think I've been pretty clear that this is my issue, and that the planning commission recommended the ordinance be adopted in its current form without any changes. I think I've defended the planning commission's action in making that referral back to the council. So I feel like I'm trying to walk two sides of a fence, but trying to do it to make sure that you have a voice at the council also as planning commission members.
So I would just want to chime in here that I also supported the plan as was presented to the board. I get we need to try to get that council to pass something. And I would prefer that instead of trying to say no manufactured home parks, that maybe you put that on the conditional use permit also, so that it doesn't totally just eliminate the possibility, because I think we've done a lot of work on that, and we decided as a group that we were okay with the way we put those guidance together. And so I just wanted to chime in with what I thought.
Yeah, thanks for that, Stacy. Just hopping on that, I like that idea because I get what you're saying, Tim, about how it wouldn't really fit in some parts of that. But I think what we're responding to is that along the Gunflint there, it does kind of change as you're getting closer to 7. It does feel more R1-y as you go up that way. And so maybe there is a place for it, but maybe not everywhere. So maybe it is something that should be more of a conditional use.
Yeah, and I mean, I appreciate all of your comments about this because I know that we've all spent a lot of time going over this ordinance and the language and what the implications might be, and all as if the council doesn't adopt my motions, accept my motions, all those uses will be allowed as a conditional use or as a permitted use in those residential districts, and the manufactured home park would be allowed as a conditional use in the resort commercial neighborhood district. I mean, those are already in the ordinance like that. The only district that doesn't allow the manufactured home parks is the mixed use district, which is, I mean, that's the language that we presented to the council. It did not contain any reference to manufactured home parks in that mixed use district. But I certainly can relay your comments and concerns about this, even though I'm making a motion to request consideration of a change. So, I mean, I certainly don't have a problem letting the other council members know that, you know, we had this meeting, and maybe even Mike can relay that information too, that you were all supportive of the language as it was presented and felt that, you know, it's absolutely appropriate based on the need for housing in the community, and that, you know, you felt that it is adequate and acceptable.
Yeah, and I have tried to chime in and make sure that people know what the planning commission's decision was, distinct from Tim, just like Tim has. And you know, if this takes much longer to finish, then Michael Gary, you can do it too.
Yeah, and I have no sense, you know, because, I mean, all we've had are the workshop meetings, and there's been really very little conversation by other council members about their intent or interest in accepting or making any changes. So probably the biggest thing that's been brought up is just the challenges of working through this COVID period, when you really people can't be engaged, you know, that might want to be engaged in a way that they might be accustomed to. And yeah.
And I know that's serious. And I'd be really concerned that like maybe two voices make all the difference, you know, and I'd want to make sure that it's not just decisions are being influenced by two people. That'd be important.
Well, that's all I have. So unless anybody else has anything, I guess we are adjourned. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Good night, all. See you soon, Tim.
Yeah. Bye-bye.